Hello, and welcome to Step Up Nigeria's podcast. Our podcast is an initiative built to create awareness of governance issues that highlight the cost of corruption and its impact on service delivery. Our podcast is also aimed at promoting values that will help to build a society of people with integrity and provide solutions to service delivery challenges faced by everyday Nigerians. My name is Fermi Iyada, and I am the host of this podcast. And on this special podcast today, our topic is films for social change. We're asking the question how filmmakers are helping to change attitudes and behaviors in Nigeria through social impact films. And to kick off this series, our very first guest is a filmmaker, and he's the CEO at High Definition Film Academy and the executive director for the Film for Impact Foundation. I'd like our guest to introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Bright Wanda Basi. I'm a filmmaker, like you already said. I'm a writer, producer, director. I'm an acting coach, and then I'm a film activist.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
very much. I'm very nice to meet you, Brett. Welcome to our podcast.
yeah, my pleasure.
Um, yeah, so let's get right into it. What was the vision behind, the Film for Impact Foundation? What made you, wake up and decide this is something I want to do and something that you thought was important that had to be done?
Okay, so basically, I've done film for a couple of years. I think I started becoming active in 2003,
Mhm.
and but my first major film, you know, apart from the ones I did at my beginning stage, the first major feature I did was in 2011. I'm away from home, but in the course of time, as I made away from home 2011, 2012, I made Broken and it was released in 2017. I realized another aspect of film. So beyond knowing that film is artistic, the art of film, I understand also that film is a business. So I've seen the art of film, I've seen the business of film, but there was something these films exposed me to, and that's the impact of film. That film really has the potency to create behavioral change. So here in Nigeria, I know a couple of people. I mean, people have come often to try to do things like this. So I think that really piqued my interest. So the desire to build a community of filmmakers who are committed not just to make film for art and business, but to use film to drive social transformation. That's what gave birth to the Film for Impact Foundation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a lot more questions because that sounds very
Thank you.
exciting. But you've directed a number of films now. What would you say has been, the most significant impact of your films on society so far?
The most significant impact for me is seeing people take action.
Hmm, hmm,
That's the most important. Amidst every other thing, so I don't get enthused, or I won't say I don't get enthused, but what really thrills me the most, it's not about when people comment about the cinematography of the film, the edit, or whatever else, or the film gets an award. The most important thing for me is seeing people watch these films and begin to take action. From away from home down to Broken to even President, every time I saw people take positive action as a product of having watched this movie, for me, that's the most important influence or the most important achievement I see my films have accomplished.
Thank you. Thank you. And it must be difficult, right? Even just selling the idea that films are not just meant to be for like humor or playful, that they can actually address serious issues. So, what were some of those significant challenges you faced as a filmmaker in producing this kind of film?
Producing these kind of films, you sometimes you're faced with government policies, especially like when it comes to films. The National Film and Video Censor Board, like my film Even President, it was censored twice. Yeah,
Wow.
because because it's a sensitive film and it was made in a sensitive time prior to the
Mm,
2019 elections. So now even the name of the film, If I Am President, it's very pivotal. So they wanted to be sure, even after it was censored and approved,
mm.
I still got a call. The DJ wanted to see the film again. To be sure it's not
It's
it's not
something.
yeah. And another thing is the film is provocative. If I'm President is a very provocative film. It touched a lot on so many things in the country. So, but the good thing about it is, even after the second censorship, nothing was taken out of that film. And that's because it was very, very intentional in creating that content. To be sure, I was addressing systems, not individuals, not people. So you're not targeting people, you're targeting the system. And at that point, nobody can say this is it. You're talking about me, or people coming against you and all of that. So a lot of consultation intelligence went into building that work. But yeah, government policy is a factor. And then for social change films, one of the major challenge we also face is funding, because a lot of the people who fund films, a lot of people who make films, they make film as a business. The distributors, the major people, one of the major people you need, which if almost like the biggest you need, are the distributors. Because what's the need making a film you can't distribute? You can't get to the final consumer. So these are the people, they hold a lot of power in the chain. Now, but these people, they are there for business. I don't know most of the producers or distributors. I have 98%, if not 100% of them. They are there for the business of film. So they want to, if somebody drinking to death would make money, they will want to put their money in it. So it's not about changing your country that is driving them. Example, the biggest distributors in Nigeria currently, they are here for business, and we must be specific about that. Now, if what you're doing does not really align with their business purpose agenda, you may not get your film on those big platforms and other platforms. So first, it's wisdom to try to align. Yes, you can make film that are impact driven, and yet they are still commercial. That's true. But there are certain things you would make. Truth is that it will speak to certain things. Example, a friend of mine, who made a film some time back, a short film, actually a short documentary, Feeling Poverty. Of course, these platforms may scarcely put it, especially when it comes to Nigeria, because that happened to me film too. So the point is, distribution is a major challenge in making films for social change. But that's one of the things we're also working at consistently, trying to find alternative distribution platform. One, trying to make films, want to make our films impact driven and then also have commercial viabilities. We also know there are some films that are very provocative that some of these platforms can tell you, sorry, we're not able to. Like even right now, with our presidents, some of the new versions that have come in languages and all of that, reaching out to some of the major platforms that have all of those language platforms to distribute this, and they will tell you, sorry, we don't want to do politics, we don't want Nigerian and all of that. And that's it for them. And you can't blame them, they have their reasons. So it means you're fighting with distribution. So those are some of the factors. These are two major factors, we face amidst others.
So, thank you very much for that. I understand, the concerns you raised around distribution, and if you can't get distributors to get your film as widely as possible, then that limits, the viewership and the fear of every Nigerian of government backlash and government fines and things like that definitely exists. So it's not easy to be a filmmaker in the first place, and it's definitely not easy to be a filmmaker making the kinds of films that you're making. So you mentioned your 2018 film, which I have watched, and I think is quite powerful. And even just the conversations online that I've seen around the film. The film is called If I Am President. So if you're listening to this podcast as we speak, search If I Am President and most definitely watch this film. It's very impactful. And I think I want to get your thoughts around how, if you think it will gain an entirely, new audience and new relevance for young Nigerians, seeing as the clamoring ahead of 2023 is increasing amongst young people, fighting against corruption and the mode of governance and things like that. So, you know, you know, are you a prophet? Did you anticipate this kind of advocacy happening just like your film should? So what are your thoughts around, the relevance ahead of the new elections?
Okay, so there are some things about the president that actually baffles me. First, I would say every filmmaker, we have the potency of prophet. We have a prophetic ministry. It's either we choose to use it or we don't want to use it. But If you want to use it, yes, you can. And if you tap into it, especially if you're making in film for transformational reasons, yes, we have that power. Film has always exuded that potency to speak into the future,
Yeah.
you know. And if we stay with our environment, feel the environment, we can speak to that environment. And that's what I'm impressed. There's something also about it that happened last year that really got me shocked. One of those unforeseen outcomes, unexpected outcomes. You know, during the NSAS in 2020, you know, a portion of that film went viral. That's the last 6 minutes of the film went viral during NSAS, and it caused a lot, you know, of this advocacy that period. Now, so a lot of people started searching me up, and then somebody came to my page, my DM, the question you just asked me. So prophets really exist. Said a lot of things, and then there was something she did that struck me. She took the premiere, the premiere of Even President, which was the official date, the official release of the film, the first viewing of that film. She posted it. She sent it to me on DM, in my DM. So Even President was released 20th of October 2018, 7
Wow.
p.m. That was the premiere. So exactly that same time, 2 years after, was the NSAS at Lekki Toge, that massacre, or that happened. So a lot of people started talking, a lot of generated a lot, and I was like, really, exactly 2 years. So it tells you the power film has. The same thing happened during the COVID-19. You know, this film that forecasted a thing like COVID-19.
Yes.
So it shows that yeah, film really has that power to create transformation. And for me, even President has uh, it has done a lot. So yeah, but what it has accomplished so far, I would say, as a filmmaker who is conscious about impact, who is impact driven, these are my early satisfactions.
Yeah. Okay. So let me not assume which of all your movies would you say has been your most
successful film?
What is success to you? Did you get so? What does a person define success as? For me, success is not just about cinema box office. No. For me, what defines success for me is the impact I make with my films. That's what defines success for me. And that's what has given birth to everything I do, because that's where my heart is. So that may not be somebody else's success, somebody else's, but it's okay, it's fine. We're just different people, we have different assignments. Assignment is what I'm doing. And when I accomplish that, I feel good. I mean, Broken did a lot too in terms of success. Broken had a lot of awards, and then it had a lot of impacts. People went back and made decisions. People, I mean, we got all of those feedback from people who made decisions. I mean, and so when I go to Even President screened in cinema for about 5 6 weeks, and then we had this conversation with Netflix. I mean, so a lot of people ask, why is it not Netflix? Well, it's part of some of the things I've talked about already. And when we realize that all of these issues are coming up, what sits at the center of our work? At the center of our work, we wanted this thing to be seen by every Nigerian. So if a bigger platform like Netflix, for these same political reasons, are not able to house it at the time, and we know it needed to go up, we just had to take make a decision we wouldn't have made normally, to release it on YouTube. And the reason is not for any other thing other than the fact that the essence of making this film was for the Nigerians to engage with the film. So our success is seeing how many people on that platform who not just make positive remarks and comments, people who say, for the first time, I have hope in Nigeria. For the first time, I believe Nigeria can be great. For the first time, I'm going to go get my PVC. For the first time, I'm going to. So all of that for us, that's what success is with respect to making this film, and that's it.
Wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking about how at Step Up Nigeria, we're having this session, a hangout for first-time voters in the FCT, and I was just thinking how we most definitely have to show this film as part of the agenda. We'll just put it like a film screening because we're trying to encourage young people to action. And like you said, the film is so powerful that it has, that power to inspire people to action. And that's why, you make films like this. So if
Yeah.
you say President has been your most impactful film, and I know that you've touched on this already, but what would you say, to that young filmmaker out there? They've heard some of the challenges you face, but they've also heard some of the wins in making these kind of films. What would you say has been like a most significant lesson that you've learned, and that you would, speaking to a young person who wants to make films like you, who's inspired by the work that you're doing, what would you say to that person amidst all the challenges? Like, this is a great lesson I've learned. This is what you can also do if you want to toe this line.
Working on the movie Even President, one of the biggest lessons is collaboration. So if you're going to be making films like this, you need a lot of collaboration, and that's actually informing a lot of our works currently. Yeah, we'll be doing a lot of collaborations because um, you need you need not just yourself. You have this creative idea, but you need a lot of people on the along the chain, both in government, civil society, and then there's just like there's a move right now. Nigerians are rising everywhere. Nobody is funding them; they're funding themselves, and they're funding these moves. So people are really going to rise. People are going to fund the moves. People are going to do a lot. But you just need from this onset, you need to build a structure that can house more collaborations. That's one of the major learning of it. Then secondly, in another learning we took out of making this film is uh, one of the problems I mentioned earlier, which has to do with funding. So, in making films for social change, always think of the end from the beginning. Yes, did we think of the end? Yes, we thought of the end, but also there's a part of it we needed to pay more attention to, which we're paying more attention to, and that's the sustainability. So when you're making a film like Even President is an intervention work. So what's the sustainability of that work? So it's important that you structure it in such a way that it can sustain itself. It can sustain itself in the sense that you the distribution part of it is well factored in. Should these people say no, what is the alternative distribution medium? And then, what are the ways you built this film? How have you structured it in such a way that it can also earn to sustain itself? Very, very important, because if you make a film like this, it's good, but this is one out of many that should come. So currently we're working on a sequel to this stuff. So, well, how has it been so far? Yeah, so those are things we want to take cognizance of in building the templates for these projects we're working on, impact projects. So we want to be sure that, let me even paraphrase it this way. What is the financial, not profit, because these works were not really not made for profit, but can it earn to sustain itself? Can you, if you make this one and you need to make three, four, five, have you built it in such a way, whether it's going to be by it is getting product placement, or is getting agency placement or something? You need to build it in such a way, like from a business angle, that it is sustainable. Even if you're not going to be making profits from it, but you'll be making revenue that can sustain more production. Since it's impactful, you want to create more impactful content like this. So you want to create that sustainability chain that will help. So these are some of the major learnings we took from making this work. And for young filmmakers who want to make work like this, these are the things they need to factor in, consider. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fred.
You're welcome.
So this leads me to my next question, which is around a project that you started, which is the Script to Screen Africa reality TV project, and that's to train other filmmakers to create this kind of targeted content around societal issues. So how has that experience been in training, other filmmakers to create, these kind of social impact movies as well?
So Film for Script to Screen Africa, we trained then. When we hosted Script to Screen Africa, we had 60 finalists from across Africa using film to drive positive change. So that particular idea has metamorphosed. Have we dumped the idea? No. It's just that when we executed it, we realized that it's expensive. It's very expensive. So it's like a reality show. Not it's like it is a reality show. It was really, really expensive to execute. So, but I don't think I know it's one of the most impactful. Looking back, it's one of the most impactful interventions we've done. Impactful in the sense that we look at a lot of the persons who came through script to screen Africa. A lot of them have been doing amazing work, even in the social change space. A lot of them. So looking back at it, we realized we had people with substance, within that reality show we had. Okay, so the after the first edition of the reality show, what made us take a few steps back is because of the cost implication. So what we're doing now is reviewing how to still hold such an amazing impact-driven program and not spend so much executing it, because as much as we know that reality shows are very expensive, but um, doing the reality show, why did we choose reality show in the first place? Is because we realized that the generation we are currently, they are very much connected to reality shows. So a filmmaking reality show that is designed for social transformation, it's an amazing idea. You can create a platform for them, engage them where they are. That's the whole idea. Engaging people where they are, using film to engage them where they are. But when we did it, executed it, and saw the in cost implications, so we're trying to review to find how best to fund such an amazing, great idea and not break the bank, and also for funders not having to get funders spend too much of their money trying to do that. So it will now means we need to leverage on a lot of collaborations, a lot of partnerships that will take up a lot of those costs and now make the financial input we need to make not too much. But it was an amazing idea, and a lot of those filmmakers are doing great stuff currently in the social change space.
Mm, thank you. Thank you very much. I think it's a lot of learning that you shared. People who are interested in making films like this. But interestingly as well, you also host the annual Africa Film for Impact Festival. And that's exciting for us at Step Up as well, because one of our films, well, animated film, Halima's Vote,
Yeah,
was nominated and did win one of
amazing,
last year. So that was fantastic
amazing.
for so
Yeah.
from all the years of hosting, that film festival, how well would you say that has improved citizens' awareness on societal issues through all the films highlighted? And what have been some of the wins from that festival in general?
So from the festival, Africa Film for Impact Festival, I think one of the major wins for us is the level of collaborations we've gotten across Africa to use film to drive social change. We've in all of our years making films, we've never gotten such collaborations before. But we had some of the biggest collaborators in the impact space. Um, University of Cape Town, South Africa, came with Doc Society, Good Pitch, people into that festival. We had Women in Film Africa partnering with us, connecting to Women in Film Global. We also had sponsorship from United Nations, UNODC. We had from Amnesty International. The level of partnership we got within the country and outside,
Right.
because we are doing something with respect to driving social transformation. For us, that was a big win. So it's giving us that level of collaborations we need to be able to really drive social change. That was one of the biggest. And then, secondly, some of the films that screened in that festival, we've seen how much impact they've been able to make. Some of the filmmakers, after they received recognition, first, their films got screened at the festival. It got that leverage. It leveraged that audience, and then for some of them, they've been able to get some kind of collaboration deals. Some have gotten donor sponsorship. After that. So, and that's which is one of the essence of creating the festival in the first place, to create a space for filmmakers and social change stakeholders to meet. So the donors get to see people who are really creating impactful films, and be able to say, and so these people meeting and having an opportunity to interact, having an opportunity to see what the other person is doing and who can sponsor my work, and also who are the people in creating impact in the field we work. So seeing that interaction for us is a major win. It's happening, and some of them are getting donor sponsorships, which is one of the major reasons we're creating that, so that more of these impactful films will be created and more impact will be made using these films.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bright. So I think this will be my final question. With all that we've discussed about the films that you've made and other films that you've been able to amplify through the festival and the other platforms, do you believe that storytelling through films has the power to change attitudes and behaviors of people in society? If no, why? If yes, why? And you can give us some examples and stories.
Okay, so yes, I strongly believe it. I think that's the only reason I'm here making films change. I'm super convinced that films have transformational power. Before I mention films from outside or reference films, I need to talk about the film I've made.
Yeah.
I mean, when I made the movie Broken, on the comment section, you would see a lot of persons who said, I've abandoned my child 8 years ago. Right now, I'm on my way to Enugu to look for that child. You hear people who say, so people are saying a lot of things, and some get back to you with the testimonial of what they've accomplished. Talking about Ivan President, so Yada Africa in 2018 adopted the film to train over 400 people who are coming for offices, government offices, during the 2019 election. Why would they do that? Because of the power of that film to create transformation. And I was in that space, at the day it was screened, and you get a lot of people, a lot of persons, young persons running for office who said for the first time, I've believed the right thing can work, and I'm going to build my structure for integrity. So these are these people taking action. Then, like we both said earlier, if you go to the comment section, I've seen people who have said, look, I got my PVC after watching this film. Currently, if I'm present day after day, sometimes 1, 2, 3 times in a week, it will come up on Twitter, and it's consistent. People keep talking about it, that please, everybody, you need to see this film. Everybody, you need to take action. Everybody, you need to do this. And some will tell you, I just went to get my PVC after watching this. So it's what that behavioral change. So this film is directly causing behavioral change. We can see that. Then films like JFK, which is the film about John F. Kennedy, that film sparked up a reopening of the case. After John F. Kennedy was assassinated, it was a lost case until a film was made about it, the JFK movie. It sparked up the conversation that made them reopen the case again, and the culprits were brought to book. That was the power of film. Also, research has shown that a film like this film on HIV, the series Sugar, proven that sugar has greatly reduced HIV cases across Africa. I mean, there are statistics to show that it has. So how did it do that? Behavioral change. It has the potency for behavioral. So yes, film really has that potency to cause behavioral change, and that's why we're making such films and also inspiring a generation that will commit to making such films.
Thank you. Thank you very much. To round up, for listeners who already know you, know your films, and for those who are new, because we do have listeners who listen in from outside Nigeria as well, what should our listeners expect from, Bright Wonder and from the film for Impact Foundation next? What should we be looking out for?
Okay, so I think one of the first things that we'll be releasing soon is If I'm President, that movie. We have it in Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. So listeners should be expecting to see those 3 come out. And then a very big one is the If I'm President series. If I'm President series is fully written. It's a sequel, and it's not just a movie, it's a series. And if you've seen that movie and you think the movie is great, then you have no idea what's coming. And There are a lot of movements we're seeing right now that were predicted in the series, and we're just amazed. So when you talk about prophecy, I think a lot of prophecy, more prophecies are within the series. So you're going to be seeing the Van President series, and then also very importantly, it's the Africa Film for Impact Festival. It's coming out very big, and also training of people who will be using film for social change. So these are some of the stuffs we have in the works, and we are looking forward to one of our major works coming up. It's how much we really want to collaborate with civil society organizations. A lot of people who are causing change across the world, across, especially like in Nigeria here and Africa, a lot of these organizations, a lot of them are doing great work. So Film for Impact Foundation wants to tell their story. We want to, through our Impact TV, we want to be able to start spotlighting great impact, that organizations, civil society organizations and NGOs are doing across the nation and the continent. These are some of the major things we have in pipeline.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. We're looking forward to seeing all of that happen and looking forward to If I Am President, the sequel. Very excited for that. And just like you were saying, I was thinking about how even Halima's vote, even though it was a cartoon targeted at, junior secondary school children, and even the impact that has had on people from schools in the north who had, participated in underage voting in the past, and how just watching that film helped them realize that this is wrong and we need to stop selling our votes and we need to stop, being part of those people that are the problem and those who are advocating for change in the community. So films do have this amazing power. So how can our followers follow Film for Impact Foundation and yourself on social media? If you mention some of your social media handles, your YouTube, where they can find the film, so that our listeners can follow up with you.
Okay. So my own social media handle is at Bright Wonder HDFA. That's on Instagram. On Instagram is at Bright Wonder HDFA. On Facebook is at Bright Wonder HDFA, or Bright Wonder. Yeah. Bright Wonder overseas on Facebook. Then for Film for Impact is at Film for Impact at Film for Impact NG. That's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. At Film for Impact.
Your personal Twitter? I think we missed that.
My personal Twitter is Bright Wonder.
Okay.
At Bright Wonder.
Yeah.
At B Wonder, actually, not Bright Wonder, at B Wonder.
Okay.
Twitter does not take our long names. Yeah. So at B Wonder, it's my Twitter.
Thank you. So listeners, please follow Bright and please follow the Film for Impact Foundation and the work that they're doing, and ensure to amplify and share this film, because the film, like we've said, has the power to change mindsets and behaviors around corruption, around good governance, and to cause social change. So please join us. Remember to follow Step Up Nigeria also at step_up_Nigeria on Twitter and Instagram, and Step Up Nigeria on Facebook and LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel, Step Up TV. You can find this podcast on Step Up TV. You can find it on all podcasting platforms, and reach out to us at stepupnigeria.org for further information. Thank you, Bright, for your time and for joining us on this podcast.
We hope that
you enjoyed it as we did, and we hope our listeners enjoyed this as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. My pleasure.